Hi there. This is the second part of the video. I'm going to look at solving rational expressions. This is definitely challenging for people. And first, you need to know what solving is asking you to do. It's asking you now to take a rational equation with an equal sign and find x. So what number can you put in here so that the whole left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side? It's not easy to do, right? 4 divided by some number plus 6 times some number divided by that number plus 1 equals 6. It's hard to know off the top of your head what number that is, and sometimes there's actually more than one number that works. How are we going to set this up? In this case, it's an addition, and it's going to depend on what you're given, but if you're adding, what we want to do is we want to get rid of the rational expression in a sense. We want to get rid of the fraction part. We want to turn this into just a normal equation without a denominator. So how do you do that? If we get a common denominator for everything, we can actually just get rid of it. The same way that if you set up something in junior high where you had a half plus 1/3 equals x, which you wouldn't have had really before, what you can do is you can get a common denominator here of 6. What you do to the bottom, you need to do to the top, so some things get added in at the top. The bottom here, we multiply it by 2, so we need to multiply the top by 2. Here we multiply the bottom by 3, you gotta multiply the top by 3. What's nice there is that because everything's divided by 6, you can multiply both sides of the equation by 6 again, and that completely eliminates the denominator, and then you're just left with 3 plus 2 equals x times 6. I'm gonna do the exact same thing here. I'm gonna get a common denominator for everything, and then I'm just going to get rid of it. And if you're wondering why am I allowed to do that, well, if you get a common denominator for all the terms on both sides, you can just multiply both sides of the equation by whatever that denominator is, and it'll cancel out. Like here, for instance, if you multiply both sides by 6, these 6's cancel out, these 6's cancel out, you're just left with what I wrote there. Okay? So again, what we did in junior high, and I know that would have been a very difficult question in junior high, but all the rules with normal fractions apply here. So here, what's a common denominator for this? Well, I said the tried tested way to do this is just take these two terms and multiply them. So go like this. Take the two bottom terms, multiply them. It's a guaranteed common denominator. Over here, I want the same thing. But again, remember what you do to the bottom, you need to do the top. So over here, I just introduced this out of the blue. That's fine as long as I put it in the top, because it's as if I'm multiplying by 1. Because I added in the bottom, I added in the top, so it keeps the fraction the same. Over here, I multiplied the bottom by an x. I just introduced it. So if I'm multiplying the bottom by an x, I need to multiply the top by an x. That'll give me 6x squared. 6x times x is 6x squared. And over here, I introduced an x plus 1, so I need to introduce that as the top as well. Now what's nice here now, as I said, you could multiply both sides of the equation by this, which would in essence just eliminate it. So then you'd be left with this. There. You'd be left with everything that was up top. Okay? From there, what I want to do is I want to simplify things. So I'm going to multiply the 4 into both of these terms. 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times 1 is plus 4. Okay. And on the right hand side, same thing. I want to multiply all these together. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times 1 is plus 6. And then that's multiplied by x. So I multiply the 6 into both terms. Now I'm going to multiply it by x. Keep going. Writing the rest of this out. Over on this side, 6x times x is 6x squared, and then 6 times x is 6x. Now I can start grouping like terms. You can put these together, you can put those together. I'm going to move everything over to one side of the equation to do that. When these two terms come across, if it's a positive 6x squared, when you move it across, it becomes a negative 6x squared. When you move a positive 6x over, it becomes a negative 6x. I'm just left with 0 on the right. I moved everything over to the left. And what's nice now is, for this particular question, it won't always work out like this, but 6x squared minus 6x squared, they cancel out. If you put a 4x with a minus 6x, you're left with minus 2x. So I've taken care of those terms, I've grouped them. And then last, I've still got a plus 4 there. Almost done. Move the 4 to the other side of the equation. Becomes a minus 4. Divide both sides of the equation by -2. And you get, well, I'm out of room, so I'm not going to do it. Divide both sides by -2. -2x divided by -2 is just x. -4 divided by -2 is just 2. So the answer to this whole thing is x equals 2. I was supposed to state my non-permissible values, so I need to do that as well. What can x not equal? Well, it can't be 0, because over here you would have had 4 divided by 0. So it can't be 0. And then this thing can't be 0 as well. So what number can be put in here to make this 0? What number plus 1 equals 0? The answer is -1. So x cannot be 0 or -1. That's important. It's going to be worth marks directly. Last part here, if you ever wanted to confirm your answer, you can take this original and plug it back in. So if you plug it back into here, 4 divided by 2 is, I don't have enough room here, I can write it off to the side. 4 divided by 2 is 2, so you'd have 2 plus. And then up here, 6 times 2 is 12. And on the bottom, 2 plus 1 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And on the right hand side, I had 6. So it's nice here that it worked out. You see 2 plus 4 equals 6. You get 6 equals 6. So that means the magic number that satisfies this thing is 2. If you put a 2 in here, you get 6 on the left-hand side and on the right. Okay? I know that's involved, but if you practice these things and if you know the individual steps, the nice thing is that it's not tricky. It's the same thing every time. You follow the same sequence of steps and you've got an answer. As a quick recap, if there's no common denominator, get that first. Once you've got a common denominator for all the terms, you can actually get rid of it on both sides of the equation. Group your like terms, put everything together, all the x squareds, all the x's, all the numbers. Last step, solve the equation that you get. And then the other thing that you really should be doing at the beginning is your non-permissible values. Don't forget those. Okay? Thanks for watching. I hope that helps, and I'll see you guys next time.